let's see today's puff pastry recipe for the chicken puffs. Now here I've taken about 1.5 cup of all-purpose flour or maida, a pinch of salt, about 2 tablespoons of clarified butter or ghee, and about 1/4 cup of water. Now I'm going to take the flour, and to that I'm going to be adding the clarified butter or the ghee, and I'm going to crumble it up till it resembles some breadcrumbs. So ensure that all of the ghee coats the maida or the all-purpose flour really well. I've also added the salt to taste. Now I'm going to add a little water at a time, and we are going to knead this to a very stiff dough. So just about 1/4 cup of water will do. And then just knead this dough for about 2 to 3 minutes till it's nice and smooth, and then we're just going to keep it aside for at least 30 minutes. Now I've taken about 1/2 cup of corn flour and 1/4 cup of clarified butter or ghee, and I'm just going to mix the two of them well together to get a very thick and smooth paste. Now our dough has been sitting for half an hour. I'm just going to divide it into 6 equal pieces and just roll them and keep them aside. Then I'm going to dust my surface and I'm going to roll out one of the pieces or the balls of the dough, keep it aside, then roll a second one. Then I'm going to apply this corn flour and ghee paste all over the second rolled out dough, and I'm going to place the first one on it and keep the two aside. I'm going to repeat this procedure in this way. So I'm going to apply the paste to the one I rolled out, and then I'm going to pick up the one which is aside, the 2 layers, and place it on this one, and then just roll it and keep it aside. So in this way I'm going to do it with all the rest of the 6 parts. Now when everything is done, I'm going to roll it out, and then I'm going to apply the remaining paste, and then I'm just going to fold it in this manner. Roll it out like this. As thin as possible. And then just fold it in this manner and then keep it aside for about 10 to 15 minutes. You can refrigerate it also for 10 to 15 minutes. Now let's prepare the filling for this chicken puff. Now I had boiled about a cup of chicken. I'm just going to shred it once it is cooled down. So I boiled it for about 5 minutes in some water. Now I've taken a pan, and that I've added 1 tablespoon of butter, to that 1 tablespoon of maida. Then I'm going to add a cup of milk, and I'm going to make a smooth paste. So this is a kind of a white sauce. Then I'm going to flavor it with some salt and about a teaspoon of black pepper powder. And to this I'm going to add my boiled and shredded chicken and mix everything well together. Now I'm going to transfer this mixture to a bowl, and I'm going to refrigerate this for about 10 to 15 minutes. Now after our puff pastry has sat for about 20 minutes aside, as well as the filling, we're ready to make our chicken puffs. So I'm going to roll the dough as thin as possible to about just an inch of thickness, and then I'm going to take a vati and I'm going to cut some round circles like this. And then I'm going to take these molds, just butter them a bit, and then I'm going to put these rounds and press them so that we get this lovely shape of the mold. Now this dough is very elastic and very easy to work with. Now when you're making these circles, ensure that one is for the mold and one is for the covering. Now I'm just going to fill in these with the filling that we made of the chicken. And then we're just going to cover it up with the other part like this and seal it up well. Just remove any extra and you can keep that aside. We can use it for the remaining chicken puffs. And once you've done that, just take a knife and just make a crisscross like this in the center. So this is what I'm going to do with all the rest of them. Now this is a good time to preheat your oven at 180 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes. Put them on a tray and I'm just going to brush them with one beaten egg. I'm going to use the entire egg, the white as well as the yolk. I've just beaten it up and I've just used a silicone brush and I've just brushed the top of it. And now I'm just going to put it into my preheated oven and I'm going to bake it at 180 degrees Celsius for about 20 minutes. Now each oven is different, so just keep an eye on it. And then you'll see that you get these beautiful golden brown chicken puffs all ready. So you can get the tray out and let them cool completely before we demold them. So let them be out for about 10 to 15 minutes till they completely cool and you can actually demold them and handle them easily. And now I can easily demold them after they've completely cooled down, and you can see that even the base has nicely baked and it comes out of the mold so easily because we had buttered the mold and because they're really baked very, very well. So in this way, I've made my lovely chicken puffs. You can fill in any filling of your choice. You can go with a different type of chicken recipe. You can even add some mushroom recipe. You can use vegetables. You can do anything of your choice and make these lovely puffs. So friends, let's start with today's lovely recipe. Now this recipe is a Goan traditional recipe and it's really, really easy and simple yet delicious. Now I've taken about 1 tablespoon of ghee or clarified butter in a pan, and I've taken about a medium-sized onion, sliced it really fine. I'm going to toss it around in the ghee for some time, and then I'm going to add a pinch of sugar. And I'm going to caramelize this, or make it nice and dark golden brown in color and nice and crispy. This is going to be a garnish for the pulao. So this should take you exactly 5 minutes on a low to medium flame. So once the onions have nicely caramelized and browned, you can just take them out and keep them aside. Now in the same ghee, I'm going to add about quarter cup of cashew nuts and kishmish or raisins. Fry them well and take them and keep them aside. Now in our whole spices, I'm going to use 2 cardamoms or elaichis, 6 cloves or lavang, and half an inch of cinnamon or dalchini. Then I'm going to be using 1 medium-sized onion, which I've chopped up, 1 cup of rice. This is basmati rice or long grain rice. Just wash it well and soak it in some water for 15 minutes. 2 cups of coconut milk, the thick coconut milk, and just half a teaspoon of saffron or haldi powder. That's all we require. So I've heated about a tablespoon of ghee in a pan. I'm going to add my whole spices. I'm going to let the spices fry well so that it flavors the ghee. Then I'm going to add my chopped up onion. And I'm going to fry the onion till it turns a little translucent. Next, I'm going to drain the water from the rice and I'm going to add that to the onions and the spices. Now fry the rice for about 2 minutes in this lovely ghee. This will be on a low to medium flame. So just fry the rice well. Now we're going to add the haldi powder. Now this is if you want a yellow color. If you want to keep the white color for the pulao, then just skip this step of adding the turmeric or the haldi powder. So just fry it well because that will give you, you won't get a mushy pulao. You'll get a nice, where the grains are nicely separated, a nice and lovely light pulao. Now I'm going to flavor it with some salt to taste. and about a pinch of sugar. Again, mix everything nicely. And now I'm going to add the thick coconut milk. So this is double the quantity of the rice. So if you're using 1 cup of rice, you use 2 cups of thick coconut milk. Now mix everything well. After that, just put your flame on high and let this mixture start to bubble or start to boil vigorously on a high flame. Do not stir it at all. Let it come to a nice boil. It should take you about half a minute or so for the liquid to start boiling. This is on a high flame. And you will see that everything starts to bubble and come towards the center. So let the entire liquid start boiling vigorously on a high flame. And when that happens, just give it one stir, and then after that, lower the flame to to low, and then just cover it and cook it for about 5 to 7 minutes, just checking in between. Now just give it one light stir on a low flame again after about 5 minutes, and again cover and cook it for another 2 to 3 minutes. Just keep doing this, once or twice, very gently. And now I've put the flame off, and you can see that the rice is nice and ready. So now you can transfer this to your serving bowl and then just garnish it with the onions. Just crush up the onions a bit because now they've cooled down, so you can crush them up. And then the lovely kishmish and cashew nuts. So here our rose com coco or coconut balao, a lovely Goan traditional recipe, is all ready. I hope you like this recipe, guys. So today, friends, we're going to make this East Indian delight called foogath. They're so soft and so light, and they go best with some chicken curry or mutton curry. Just dip them and enjoy them. They're so delicious that you can have them all by itself. So let's get started with today's video, and first let us go through our ingredients. Now here I have about 250 grams or 1 3/4 cup of maida or all-purpose flour, 25 grams or an entire packet of dry yeast, 1 cup of warm water. This is 100 grams or 1/4 cup of udit dal flour, 1 egg, some salt to taste. We have about half a cup of sugar. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just about half a teaspoon of sugar to the warm water. We're going to stir it in very well till all of the sugar dissolves in this water. Now your water has to be warm. It doesn't have to be hot. It doesn't have to be cold. It has to be just warm enough that you can dip your fingers in. Now we're going to add this entire packet or 25 grams of yeast, give it a light stir, and we're just going to keep it aside till it doubles in its size. Now I'm going to mix both the flours together, that is the maida and the udit flour, and I'm going to add a little bit of salt, and we're going to give everything a nice good mix. Now I've also taken about half a cup of warm milk, and I'm going to add the sugar, which is half a cup of sugar to it, and I'm going to stir it in well. Now you can adjust the amount of sugar according to how sweet you like your fougares. If you don't want them to be sweet at all, then just skip the sugar part, adding the sugar to the milk. Now you can see that the yeast has nicely doubled in volume. Now I'm going to beat up the egg and add it to the flour mixture. Next, we're going to add a little at a time of this yeast, and we're going to mix everything well. Now, in place of milk, you can also use coconut milk. It does give a lovely taste, but I'm using regular milk. Now we're going to add the milk to a little at a time and keep folding it in or stirring it in, and we need to get a thick but smooth batter. So you might have to adjust the quantity of milk according to you might have to add a little bit more or a little bit less, but you have to get a nice thick yet a smooth kind of mixture. Now we have to mix this mixture very well till it becomes nice and smooth. This is very important for the fougares to become nice and light and airy. So stir it for a while, for about 2 to 3 minutes at least. It doesn't have to be watery. We don't want a batter consistency, but we don't want a very dry and sticky consistency. When you're moving your spatula around, you should be easily able to move the spatula. It should not be very, very thick. And now we're just going to cover up this mixture and let it sit aside for about 1 or maybe 1.5 hours to maximum 2 hours. Don't keep your mixture for more than that. And we're just going to let this double in size. Now my mixture took exactly 1 hour to nicely rise up and double in size. So now after waiting for 1 hour, you can see that it has nicely doubled up in size and it looks like this. It all depends upon the yeast, so your mixture should look like this. And now when you dip a spoon inside it, you should be easily able to lift it up. Now I've taken some oil for deep frying. I've taken some kitchen napkins for draining the excess oil, a slotted spoon, and also some water to dip my fingers in. Now we're going to test whether the mixture is ready. Also keep a kitchen cloth ready in your hand because you need to wipe your fingers every time. We're going to drop a little bit of this batter, and if the the ball just rises up immediately, that means your oil is all ready to deep fry. Now remember always to fry on a low to medium flame. Never let your oil be smoking hot. Never use a full flame when you're deep frying. It should always be low to medium. Otherwise, what will happen? Only the outside of the fougares will get cooked and your inside of the fougares will be raw. So now our oil is ready. Now the technique is very simple, friends. These fougares are also called balloon bread. You'll come to know in a little while when you see the technique. Now I'm going to dip. Now I'm a right-handed person, so I'm going to dip my right hand in some water, and with the left hand I'm just going to lift the dough, and between my thumb and forefinger I'm going to squeeze that out, and I'm going to dip it, put it directly into the oil. Now every time remember to dip your fingers, squeeze out a small little ball, drop it into the oil and wipe your fingers. Now these fougares get fried immediately, so you have to stir them around. You can take the help of your family members or friends to just stir the fougares around. Now we want to fry them till they're nice and light golden brown. We don't want a very dark color. Now as you keep doing it, you will get the hang of it. Believe it or not, this is my first ever time of making fougares, and I had got so many requests during Christmas time to make fugyas that I decided I am going to give it a try. I was scared, so I said a small prayer before starting off, and by God's grace, my fugyas turned out delicious. My family just loved it. I had made some lovely chicken curry, and we enjoyed the fugyas with them. Now, I'm sure I'm going to get some questions as to how I made the udid dal. So just wait till the end of the video. I will leave a link as to how I made my udid dal flour. Now I'm just going to show you how you need to fry them. You just need to move them around in the oil. Don't overcrowd your pan. Use a large pan if possible. And some of them might get ready earlier. Some of them might take some time. So as you find that they're nicely, evenly turned to a light golden brown, just uh, take them and put them on your kitchen napkin. Yes, I was telling you about how to make the udid dal flour. Now, you can try and get it in a supermarket, whether it's available. Some stores do have it. Otherwise, all you have to do is just take a regular udid dal and grind it in a dry mixer. Now you can also wash it, dry it in the sun, and then dry it. But here I'm just using regular udit flour. I've used the organic type, which is available, and I just ground it in my mixer pot. Now the udit dal also helps to make these fugyas really nice and light and fluffy, along with the yeast. And that's my last batch. Now with these quantities of measurements that I used, I got exactly 50 fugyas. I wanted to start off with a very small quantity. I didn't want to make a lot of it because we're just 4 of us, so I didn't want to waste anything. So I just made it out of this much quantity, that is quarter kilo of maida, and I got 50 small lovely fugyas. So depending on how many you want to make, you can just double the quantity if you want to make 100 or whatever, just do the math. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I enjoyed making it, and I'm sure this is not going to be the last time I make fugyas. I'm going to be making it a lot of times because I found it really easy. Many people are very scared about making it. Guys, don't be scared. Give it a try. Like I said, start with a small quantity, follow the instructions to the T, and you're going to be delighted with the end result. And here you can see I've got all my fugyas. There aren't 50 right now because many of them went in my and my family's tummy. But you look at them, they're so light and so airy. I mean, I can just eat them all by themselves. They're so delicious. Now adjust the sugar, as per your liking. Some people like very sweet fugyas. Some people like, just regular. Let's see today's quick and easy chicken sorpotel. So I'm going to show you how to make the Goan Sorpotel Masala recipe. It's super simple. Now these are the few ingredients that we're going to be using. So let's go through the spices. So this is about 10 peppercorns, 1 teaspoon of cumin or jeera, an inch of cinnamon or dalchini, 6 cloves or lavang, 15 dried Kashmiri chilies, half a teaspoon of turmeric powder or haldi, about 1 inch of ginger, 10 cloves of garlic, 1/4 cup of vinegar, a lime-sized ball of tamarind soaked in 1/4 cup of warm water, and we're going to extract the pulp for the recipe. Now besides that, we're going to use 2 light green chilies which I've slit and cut into half, 1 medium-sized onion chopped fine, Now we're going to grind all the ingredients except the green chilies, the onion and the tamarind pulp. Rest all of the ingredients are going to be ground in the white vinegar. Or if you have Goa vinegar, you can use Goa vinegar. And I'm not going to add the turmeric powder into my mixer pot. I'll be adding it later. But if you want, you can add the turmeric into your mixer jar too at this point. Now we're going to grind this with only vinegar. And we're going to make this into a very, very fine paste. So this is the vinegar that I'm adding. And we're going to grind this to a very, very fine paste like this. So our Goan Sorpotel masala paste is ready. And today I'm going to be making chicken sorpotel, which is really very easy and quick. And whenever you're craving for sorpotel and you don't want to go through the tedious process of cutting up the pork and boiling it, this is a super fast recipe and it tastes super delicious. So let's start with the recipe. Now here I'm heating about 1.5 tablespoons of oil in a pan. And what I've done is I've just taken about 250 grams of boneless chicken breast, fried it in a pan in oil, and then just chopped it up into small pieces. And whatever stock you get when you're frying that, use that for the recipe too. Now once my oil is nice and hot, I'm going to be adding the onion. And we're going to fry the onion really well till it becomes nice and translucent. Now once the onions are translucent, I'm going to add my masala paste. And we're going to fry this paste really well for almost 3 minutes. We want the paste to be really nicely fried. So now here I'm adding the turmeric powder or the haldi powder. You could add it also when you're grinding the paste. So now once everything is nicely mixed, you can see that the paste itself starts, oozing out some kind of oil. At this point, you're going to add the fried chicken cubes. Now chicken cooks really fast. So we're going to mix everything really well together. See that the chicken is nicely coated with all of the masala. And now I'm going to add 1 cup of hot water. I've just microwaved 1 cup of water. Just add that and mix everything really well together. Now we're going to cook this for about 3 minutes till everything gets nicely cooked. And now I'm going to season it with some salt taste. And I'm also going to be adding a pinch of sugar. This is completely optional, but the sugar does elevate the taste of, the entire dish. Now mix everything really well together. And we're going to cover and cook this for 5 minutes on a low heat. After 5 minutes, you'll see that the curry here or the sorpotel has thickened a bit. We're going to add our green chilies. Mix it in well. And now we just have one more ingredient to add. And that is the tamarind pulp. So what I suggest is go a little easy on the tamarind pulp because we've also added vinegar. So add a little, just give it a taste test. And if you feel that you want to add more, then you can add a little more. Mix everything really well together. And again, I'm going to cover and cook this on a very low flame for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, turn off the heat and your sorpotel, your chicken sorpotel is all ready to enjoy. Do give this recipe a try and let me know in the comments section how you like it. I'll catch you. So let's see today's lovely recipe of jelly and custard cups. Now first we're going to set the jelly, which happens really quickly. Now all I've done is I've taken a jelly packet, and that they have 2 powders, and you just have to mix these powders really well. And then I'm using half a liter of 500 ml of water. Now one powder is depending on the flavor you've taken. So I'm using raspberry. I've just mixed the powders really well. Now I'm going to add half a liter of water to a pan. And I'm going to bring this to a gentle boil, and then I'm going to add this powder mix to the pan. Look at the beautiful color. Immediately the water gets a beautiful color. And you're just going to stir the powder really well because you want it to get nicely mixed up with the water. And then you're just going to stir this for about 2 to 3 minutes till the mixture thickens. And then I'm just going to transfer them into these little glasses, or you can even use bowls. And then we're just going to refrigerate this for about half an hour or even 15 minutes. The jelly gets set very, very fast. So you can refrigerate this for 15 minutes or for half an hour. Basically, we just want the jelly to be nice and, set so we can pour the custard on top of it. And now we're going to make the custard. So for that, again, I've taken a packet of custard and I'm going to be using 2.5 tablespoons of custard powder. To that, I'm going to be adding 125 ml of milk and I'm going to stir it in well till we get a nice smooth paste. Now I'm using the vanilla flavor of custard. That goes really well with, if you're using raspberry jelly or strawberry jelly. My jelly, I'm using the raspberry flavor. Now I'm going to add 375 milliliters of milk and I'm going to add 50 grams or 4 tablespoons of powdered sugar to the milk and I'm going to stir this really well and bring it to a gentle boil. So see that all of the sugar really gets nicely dissolved in the milk. And now I'm going to add this custard powder and milk paste that we just prepared to this and we're going to keep stirring till the mixture thickens. Now it thickens really fast. Within about 2 to 3 minutes, your mixture will be really thick and it will start coating the sides of your spoon or spatula. That means it's ready, so you can turn off the heat. See, it actually coats the sides of the spoon. And now we're first going to check whether the jelly is set. So you can see that the jelly is nice and set. And so now we're just going to pour this custard on top of the jelly. Please ensure that your jelly is set, otherwise the custard will go right through the jelly and you won't get this lovely, jelly and custard look that we're going for. So now just pour this on top of the jelly. And once that is done, just going to tap the tray a bit so that it evens out everything. And I've just put the glasses in this small little tray. That way they all, you can put it in your refrigerator very easily. And now I'm going to refrigerate this for 30 minutes till the custard sets nicely. And after 30 minutes, I'm just going to garnish this with some lovely chopped almonds. You can use pistachios or cashew nuts just to make it look a little more festive and pretty. And that's it, friends. Your lovely jelly and custard cups are all ready to enjoy, and they are best when they are really, really nice and chill. So leave them in your refrigerator for at least an hour or two. And when they're nice and chill, you can just enjoy this beautiful dessert. And they, you just scoop it up like this so you get the jelly and the custard together. It's really